Hi everybody, hope all is well and you're enjoying the rest of your Hanukkah. I just want to share with you a quick thought on this week's parsha, this week's Torah portion, Miketz. So we're in the story where Joseph, was originally in prison and he interpreted some dreams there, and then Paro, the Pharaoh of Egypt, has these crazy dreams. He needs them to be interpreted. Somebody from prison remembers that Joseph interpreted his dreams, so they call Yosef out. He interprets the dreams for Pharaoh and all works well. Now, I think there's just an interesting angle from this whole story, which is that, Yosef in this week's Torah portion goes from being on the bottom of the ladder in prison to being second to the king. And his journey is fascinating because he only ended up being second to the king because he managed to interpret a dream, because he met certain people in jail, which means the only way he made it there was actually by being in jail. And really, his whole story had a lot of turns which he didn't really think he was going to have to take, He was the favorite son, and then his brothers sell him. And then he ends up being a slave, but he works his way to the top. Then he ends up in prison. And then from prison, he ends up becoming the king. So the simple lesson to learn from here is that God runs the world in very weird ways, and the only thing crazier than fiction is reality. And the reality works in weird ways, and we have no idea how it's going to work. But there's something a little deeper here. Yosef didn't just take these curveballs in life and say, you know what, this is an odd turn, I'm not sure what's going to happen. At each and every point in his life, he worked hard to succeed, even though the circumstances were not at all the way he wanted them and not at all the way he thought it was going to be. He didn't think he would be sold by his brothers to Egypt, but guess what? As soon as he's sold to Egypt, he goes and works for a master and works his way to the top. He didn't think he'd end up in prison, but once he ends up in prison, he goes in prison and he works his way to the top and tries to do his best there. And it's only because he worked his way to the top in each of these situations that it actually played out that from these horrible situations, did he make it to being the second to the king? We don't know that he would have made it there had he not excelled in those rough areas in life. So it's not just about believing that rough parts of life are important to take you to the next step, but it's about trying to excel during those rough times. And I think this is very applicable for all of us at some point in our life, but maybe especially so this year, where weird things happened and life took funny turns for all of us. It really is not at all the way we planned, no matter what field you're in life. But the truth is that these crazy turns can take us anywhere. We have no idea where. We have no idea where life is going to take us. But the key to remember and learn from Yosef is no matter what situation we're in, try and excel and make the best of it. Have a good Shabbos.